know, I almost didn't want to make this video. I almost thought that it had been too long, this script wasn't going to age, but you know what? Whatever. 2 Blaze hockey videos in just a few days? Well, that's got to be alarming. Surely something major happened, right? Surely the Jays didn't lose out on both Kyle Tucker and Bichette, right? Surely they didn't, right? Right? Alright, so Bichette to the Mets. First of all, weren't the Mets a shitter team last year despite having expectations? Like, I don't entirely know why you want to go there other than the fact that they paid the most money, which I'll kind of get into in a little bit. And again, don't quote me on if they paid the most money, but contract details, short-term, long-term, whatever. Contract was most appealing, sure. And second of all, Bichette was good on the Jays in part because he was part of a bigger team. His offensive stats were great, but his defensive stats, we have seen time and time again, were not that good. The Jays function as a team. It was literally the power of fucking friendship. You need to bring every integral part of that team back and run it back. And I know the Jays didn't have a lot to control here. Bichette could have picked to go somewhere else, but they really needed to try and bring him back. It really sucks that they didn't. You got 1 game away from the World Series, and then you lose it. This isn't like the Leafs where you completely choke it away. You were so close. This is where it makes sense to run it back. But the fact that Bo didn't stay, as a Jays fan, it does kind of hurt. Second off, Bo, if you're going to leave, I mean, I know there's media training and whatnot, but leading up saying that you want to stay and want to stay over and over and over again, it's really not the greatest look out there. Look, maybe that was true up to a certain point. I mean, look at what happened with other players in the NHL, but it still doesn't sit right. There's one thing that reminds me of now. It's John Tavares to the Leafs. I'm not trying to be a huge homer here right now to one of my teams, but the way that Bichette left the Jays, I don't know, reminds me so much of Tavares with the Islanders. Now New York wants their pound of flesh. Tavares leaving the Islanders was handled terribly. I'm saying that as a Leafs fan, it was not handled well at all. And this feels like 2 sides of the same coin in some aspects. Money speaks louder than emotions. It speaks louder than the team that drafted you and made it all the way to the World Series. It speaks louder than the team that made it all the way to the World Series last year that you were clearly an integral part of on and off the field. Tavares to Toronto, Murray to Vegas. It feels like one of those, and at least he wasn't the captain. I am so sorry to Islanders fans. Third off, what is this contract? Originally, I was actually kind of pissed at Rogers because Rogers, as we know, cell phone company, not a lot of people like them. So I was originally really pissed at Rogers, thinking, okay, 126, Rogers can beat that. It's fucking Rogers. But $42 million a year for Bichette once I looked at MLB AAVs, we need a lockout. And badly. It's actually fucking comical how ridiculous some of these contracts are. I mean, look at what happened with the NHL in 2005, 2004 when the 04-05 lockout happened. It was because of player salaries. Player salaries were just getting too high and other teams couldn't compete. We're seeing that right now happening in the MLB at the top, and at the bottom, we're seeing teams basically like the A's, the Rockies, stuff like that. They can't compete at all, and they just don't put any money into this. We need a minimum cap. We need a maximum cap. Bichette is a great player, but $42 million a year, more money by AAV than Vlad. That's kind of a lot. The Jays running it back just got even more difficult. They did most of this without Bo in the playoffs, but can they do it again? That'll be the ultimate test for the Jays. You got a 1-year window. MLB is locking out in 2027, and for good reason. It desperately needs it. You have 1 chance, and you better fucking take it. You had the power of friendship once. Now you got to do it again. Take care of him, Mets. Don't waste the next 3 years of his career.